Call the regular city council meeting Monday, May 20th, 2013 to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Here.
Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf.
Here.
Lukosius. Perez.
Here.
Radke.
Here.
Mueller.
Here.
Sapienza.
Here.
Mayor Harrell.
Here. Pledge of allegiance. Chuck, could you come up and we will give you this plaque? Chuck took the time and effort to fill out the proper paperwork and brag on the airport that he's the airport manager of the Peru Airport. And we won an award. We were chosen out of 60 entries into the class category B for the Airport of the Year, and that's pretty impressive. And Chuck and I were out in Moline last Thursday and picked up the award from the Illinois Department of Transportation Division of Aeronautics Director, Dr. Susan Shea. So anyway, I'd like to give you this plaque, Chuck, and congratulate you for what you're doing at the airport and for having the City of Peru, the Illinois Valley Regional Airport, recognized. After Chuck and I were talking to some of the other airports, there was 13 awards given out that day, and we had quite a few ears perked up when we were talking about some of the ways that we've been turning dollars up at the airport lately. So we'll probably have some competition coming in that respect. Is there any public comment? Anything?
No, Your Honor.
Do we have a motion to receive the regular meeting minutes of May 13th, 2013, and place on file?
I'll make that a motion, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Been a motion by Alderman
Your
Putoff.
Honor,
Second.
Before they approve it, there is one thing I just realized that you need to correct on page 2 under Public Health and Safety. Refers to the firefighter who was granted his pension, refers to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. That should be the Firefighters Pension Fund, not the Board of Fire and Police.
I'll correct that, sorry.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Waldorf, to receive and record the regular meeting minutes of May 13th, 2013, with the corrections previously mentioned. Is there any others? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to committee reports. Council and Finance, Alderman Putoff, Alderman Radke.
Yes, I present to the Council disbursements for May 22nd, 2013. The disbursements include $1,974,403.56. I wanted to really kind of highlight a few of them if council members do have any questions. One is on page 13. You see a disbursement to Jackson Call. If you remember, in that amount is $7,425.98. If you remember, Jackson Call was the people who purchased our Muir building. And at the time, the city had an easement or elevator lease with the Masons, and the Masons were paying the city or the city of Peru for that lease. Well, during the time of the sale and between now, it was picked up that they had continued to pay the city, and that amount of money should have gone to Jackson Call. So what basically the city is doing is reimbursing them for the amount of money that they did receive during the period of between the sale and now. So that's where you get the number of $7,425. So that is the explanation for that. You also see somebody had asked me about page 5. You see Tim Sharp for the police and fire. What that is on behalf of the city of Peru. He's a pension actuary in which he reviews the tables and looks at what liabilities the city has and in regards to the pension. So if there's any other questions for that, if not, I'll make a motion that these be received, placed on file, the bills paid in the usual manner.
Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke, to receive the disbursements for May 22nd, 2013, placed on file, and the bills paid in the usual manner. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote. Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius. Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved.
In another area, Finance Committee had met, and it had been discussed from the City Council and discussed from several other individuals that the city does not pay IVAR for any of the items that they do within the city, or there has been no donations budgeted for that amount. So what I'd like to have is the council to consider a donation for IVAR in the amount of $1,000 for the upcoming year. And really what happens is they do save the city an incredible amount of money because they do take the stray animals. They house them, take care of them, and that's an expense that the city would have to incur if IVAR wasn't there. And certainly we think that that may benefit both parties, the city of Peru and IVAR, which takes care of the animals. So I'd like to have that considered for the next council meeting, and we will place that on the agenda for that item. Any questions regarding that?
I would like for consideration also for the Peru Rescue Station that helped on the night of April 19th when we were sandbagging at the East End sewage treatment. They brought out, 8 to 10? We couldn't have did it without them. They brought out 2 more boats, quite a bit of manpower, and we couldn't have did it without them. We saved the plant that night, so I'm asking for the consideration and donation to Peru Rescue Station.
Okay, we'll place that on the agenda for next meeting.
I was going to leave it up to finance. I would say $250.
Alderman Radke, anything you'd like to add?
Nothing at this time.
Nothing else from Council and Finance?
No, Your Honor.
Public Works, Alderman Waldorf, Alderman Lukosius.
Your Honor, I have no report under the Electric Department at this time. Jim, do you have anything? No. All right. Under Streets and Alley and Water and Sewer, I just want to give a little bit of an update on the progress on the sewers and the water issues that we had a month ago in the North End. We are still collecting data. We are prioritizing the problems and the fixes that the city is going to take part in. We are, I think, very much considering the partnership. The next Public Works meeting is June 3rd, Monday, June 3rd, and we'll have an announcement after that. We are also waiting for some residents that are having the fixes that Mike from Chamlin's is proposing, having them installed, and we are going to get their estimates from them and come up with a baseline as for the monetary amount that we're going to partner with the residents. So I know that it's a pretty open wound, and everybody just try and bear with us. We're working diligently, and we're going to get this problem taken care of. Mike, do you have anything to add to that?
Alderman, can I add something to that, please? Last Saturday, we conducted what I call a smoke test, and first of all, I'd like to thank all the aldermen for letting us do that. Illinois Valley Excavating was there and did the smoking, Peru Fire, Peru Police, Mike Perry from Chamlin, and a lot of good help from the neighbors up there north of Marquette. We covered a lot of area, found some stuff. Whether it was the cause, we don't know, but I thought it was a good, spent 8 hours up there at least, and we're not done yet. We got to go for some more. So you want to add anything, Mike, to that? Or again, I'd like to thank everyone that was there.
Certainly. In that regard, residents will be getting a letter talking about some of the sewer cleaning. There are some calcium deposits in the system, and in cleaning, pardon me, in cleaning them over a couple of days last week, we found that starting to cut on the, correct me if I'm wrong, the calcium deposits, it forced water up some of the services. So there's a letter into the basements. So there is a letter that I believe Clerk Bartley has ready to send out, or close to ready to send out. I'd like to read part of that, so bear with me here. In the city's attempt to clean the residential lines, a problem was encountered because of many of the homes have service laterals connected to the main line at what is called the 3 o'clock and the 9 o'clock positions, or between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock as preferred. The high-pressure water cleaning stream pushed clean water into home sink drains, floor drains, and toilets, and pushed the trap water out of the fixture. This resulted in a small amount of water surrounding the fixture. This also resulted in a dry plumbing trap which let odors from sewer mains into some homes. The following precautions are advised for your home when the high-pressure cleaning operation is on your block cleaning your main sewer line. Place a piece of cardboard or other disposable covering over all floor drains and shower drains and weight down with a brick or the equivalent of a 2 or 3 pound weight. Place a piece of cardboard over your toilet bowl, 2 by 2 feet, and close the seat and lid on top of the cardboard to hold it in place. Keep the sink and tub drains 90 to 95% closed to restrict the water from blowing out. After the cleaning truck has completed your block, discard all cardboard, pour approximately a half a gallon of water down all of your drains to make sure the traps are refilled, and clean up any water, obviously, that bypass the protective measures. We apologize for any inconvenience that this may cause, but the main trunk lines have to be clean in order for the system to carry enough water to make them work properly. So this is the best way to clean those. It's rock hard stuff, and you wouldn't believe some of the, well, I mean, the pictures are available for everybody to see. So if you want to see, and I believe that we showed them here. So anyway, if you have any questions, you certainly can call City Hall, myself, Chamlins, and we'll be glad to answer your questions and do whatever we can to help you. This is a very important measure, and it's very important information. The cleanings are scheduled May 28th through June 7th, and the area is in the footprint of the sewer backups. The St. John's area, Marquette Road, 25th to 30th Streets, and 2 to 3 blocks east and west of Marquette. And you know, if you have questions as to whether you're in that area, please call the clerk's office. So, Your Honor, that is all I have at this time, and thanks for your patience in listening to a long report.
Okay, we'll move on to Public Health and Safety. Alderman Ferrari, Alderman Sapienza.
Your Honor, I have a report from May 11th, 2013. The Peru Fire Department received and responded to a total of 12 fire calls for the pay period. I'd like to make a motion to accept the report and place it on file.
Second, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Sapienza, second by Alderman Ferrari to receive the Peru Fire Department report for period ending May 11th, 2013, and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Your Honor, we have the Peru Police Department monthly report for April 2013, and I'd primarily like to bring it to everybody's attention in the back. We had a donation from Miller's when Chuck Miller Sr. passed away for $100. I was very appreciative to the police department. Then I'd also like to say we have a superhero on the police department. Chief Burnaby went to Northview School and read the book Clifford the Big Red Dog. And also, moving on to the last page, is something that's really been well thought of and well put out, and I like everybody wonders what our Peru Police Department is doing. Well, May 2013 is an organizational chart of who we have on, what time they're on, and what they're capable of doing, and I just think this is outstanding. I'd like to make a motion we accept this report and place it on file.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Waldorf to receive the Peru Police Department monthly report for April 2013 and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the activity summary for the month of April 2013 and place it on file as submitted.
That's for approved volunteer ambulance.
I'm sorry, approved volunteer ambulance. Thank you, Tony.
It's all right. You're nervous, I
That's what
understand.
you're supposed to be doing. Nice to see that.
We'll second that, Your Honor.
Been a motion by Alderman Sapienza, second by Alderman Ferrari, to receive the approved volunteer ambulance service report for April 2013 and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Also, Your Honor, we had the City Approved Safety Committee meeting for April 3rd and May 8th. I'd like to make a motion, we accept these reports and place them on file.
Second, Your Honor.
Been a motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Waldorf, to receive the Safety Committee minutes of April 3rd and May 5th and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I have nothing else, Alderman Sapienza. You got anything?
I think that covers it. Thank you.
Alderman, I got one thing I want to cover real quick if I can. With the safety committee, we're looking to have a meeting on June 12th at 10:30. This is going to be a supervisors meeting, department heads, aldermen. All you are welcome to come to this meeting. What this is going to be is bringing frontline supervision into our safety concept. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics, incident investigations. Basically, we're going to work a little bit on that so we can stop the incidents and prevent the accidents. So we're going to be having an hour-and-a-half meeting at the fire department with that. You're all welcome to come. It'll be a pretty good presentation. June 10th at 7:30, we'll be doing the summer help safety meeting also at 7:30, and that'll be, again, on June 10th.
Thank you, Chief King. Chief Burnaby, you got anything you wanted to add to anything?
Not this evening, thank you.
Public property, Alderman Perez, Alderman Mueller.
Yes, Your Honor. This evening we had a public property meeting, and we discussed several things, and one of them was the city-owned properties that's within the city of Peru, and one of them is the ESDA building. And Mr. Doug Biederstedt and Bob Vickery had mentioned that they do have a piece of property where we can store a couple of the vehicles that are down there, and they do have a location for that. And Alderman Mueller and I had discussed moving forward with that sale of that property at a fair market value. And so if we could move forward with doing that, and whatever steps we have to take next to move forward with that sale of property, that would be great.
Do we have an appraisal, Alderman, or are we going to get it appraised, or do we know what?
I believe Mr. Biederstedt does have all that, and I believe the last number I saw on it was, and he'll be presenting that to us right around, I think, $26,000 or so, somewhere in the $20,000 range, which was the fair market value from the last report that I saw.
There actually is not an appraisal. It's a letter with an estimate of value.
That's fine.
I believe it's 22.5.
Okay. But he'll submit that to us for the next council meeting, and if we can move forward with that.
Will that property be bidded, or will you be taking?
We could do anything, whatever the council decides to do with it. Whether we want to bid it or if he has a buyer, I was going to ask that he comes to the next council meeting and gives a presentation what he'd like to do.
I think we'd need corporate council direction on that.
Well, on the sale of municipal property, you can do it one of three ways. And on this, I would just recommend one of two ways. And the first would be you can sell it for not less than 80% of the appraised value as determined by an MAI or state certified appraiser. Or secondly, you can do it by sealed bids, advertise and receive sealed bids at any price that the highest bidder comes in at, regardless of the appraised price. The third method would be under home rule powers, but I wouldn't recommend that on this sale to a private party. If it was part of a redevelopment plan like we did downtown, and that was all done under home rule powers pursuant to contracts that they had to build a complete masonry building, things like that. So I'd either go with the statutory provision on not less than 80% of the appraised value, or by the advertising and then receiving sealed bids.
Okay. We'll discuss some more of that then too. We'll maybe hold another meeting, and see if maybe Doug can come in.
For what purpose?
To move, well, to make a decision what we want to do with that, as far as which
I thought you
direction.
wanted to bring this to council next week.
We could have Doug come in. Yeah, explain what.
Okay, well.
I'm fine with it, whatever the council wants to do with it. I mean, it's our decision.
If you're going to go on the appraisal, I would get an actual appraisal rather than letter opinion, because the statute does say a member of the American Institute or a state certified appraiser, Peter's status.
Peter's status, right.
He is a state certified appraiser, but I think you need something more than just a letter opinion. So you'd have the comps and everything in the full-blown appraisal.
I think that's a good move, getting rid of that building.
Yeah. Also, the Beck's gas station, they were looking to expand and annex part of the property to the east. And I know it's been discussed with the previous committee. And the last minutes that I reviewed, corporate counsel was going to send a letter to Beck's. Did we happen to move forward with that, corporate counsel?
No, I was frankly waiting direction on that, because nobody told me what to do on that. I had spoken to Alderman Ankiewicz, because the city really doesn't own that property. There's just a provision in the old deed that says, you know, when requested by the city, that 50-foot strip would have to be deeded to the city for roadway purposes. Well, you have no use for that roadway strip now, because it would go to nowhere. It would just be an extension, you know, of the street, but that's already blocked off. Is there a stormwater retention for the housing that's up there now? So the issue becomes, you really don't have anything to sell except a release of those rights. And it's whatever you want to put the value on that, if any. No, because all it is a covenant in a deed. So I don't know, they may even own the underlying real estate, you know. The only thing you'd be doing is releasing the right to demand that it be dedicated for public roadway purposes. All the improvements on there, the asphalt that's on there now was put on by Beck's when they did the last improvement.
So we would need that on the agenda for the next meeting to vote to sell that piece of property.
Well, we don't own it to sell. That's the bottom line. The only thing is, do you want anything to release the covenant that's in that prior deed? The right to have them dedicate it for public roadway purposes. I can't see where you'd ever need that property for public roadway purposes, but do you want to charge them for the release of that right? And if so, how much?
Or is there a possibility that anytime we'd have to run something up through there, or
Well, if we did, Tony, normally when we do those, we reserve those rights in the deed anyway. But you would, if you release that right in that deed, you would be just releasing the right for public roadway purposes. But, you know, if they're going to construct any improvements on there, a building, I don't know what the intentions are, then they probably won't want that reservation in the deed for any now existing or hereafter demanded utility easement.
And they'd have to incur the cost if they have some need for that property. Let them come to the city council, incur that cost, and then we certainly, I would imagine, we'd relay that to them. But I think we got it reversed, where we're taking some expense to do something that we don't know what they need it for. So if they want it, have them.
Okay. We'll get a hold of Mr. Bieterstedt tomorrow and Mr. Vickery and have a talk with them and have them relay some messages for us.
Alderman Akewicz had some discussions, I believe, with somebody or at back then, but no one had ever gotten back to me as to what you want.
Okay.
Well, we don't own the property.
Right.
That's
So
correct. We do not own it.
Ultimately, if they're interested in purchasing the property, then they'll come to us.
Well, they may already own it. I don't know who owns the underlying, what we call the fee portion of the property or the underlying owner of the property. All you do is have that covenant in the old deed.
Okay. Moving forward, I also updated the committee with the landscaping volunteer group. We're up to 16 volunteers who stepped forward to help to maintain the flower beds throughout the city through the designated areas that we discussed last week. Two of these volunteers are master gardeners from the city of Peru. Another is into horticulture and educated in trees and shrubbery, and another who's a professional full-time landscaper. This weekend we planted all flower pots downtown and Water Street, prepped the landscaping at the police station, which included removal of a dead bush. We had two volunteers who are assigned to that location to begin planting. Chief King he put in a lot of effort over at the Peru Fire Department over the weekend and maintained the flower bed there. Rotary assembled their volunteers to do Rotary Park over the weekend. And Sherry Majak has been working on the airport, and she also helped along with us this weekend. With maintaining all of the flower beds through the downtown and Water Street, the total flowers and planting was $276.25 to do all the work that we did, which was pretty amazing. We have an individual, she's actually a school teacher at LP who owns a lot of property out in the country and is going to donate perennials to the city of Peru to do with what we'd like. There is another quote that came in, an estimate for gardening from Specialty Landscaping, which was just over $15,575 to do what the volunteer group isn't doing, which is the rest of the city. So during our discussion today in our meeting, Alderman Mueller and I had discussed passing it on to Superintendent Bleck to hire 2 summer helpers at $9 per hour to see if he could run an ad. Of course, they'd have to be over the age of 18 to drive the vehicles. At $9 an hour for 2 full-time or part-time summer employees would come out to $11,520 for the year for 4 months, June through September, which is well below the $15,000. With that, they would be dedicated to the landscaping throughout the city at the parks and the other locations, where our volunteer group would also do the planting throughout the parks and the other designated areas that we were going to contract out. So between the volunteer group and 2 employees that would be summer helpers for those 4 months would save the city a substantial amount of money. And we made the recommendation to Mr. Bleck if he could go ahead and see about seeking out 2 employees for summer help at $9 per hour.
The only question I have is who's going to
supervise? With the greenhouse being up at the cemetery, I would think that Mr. Dellinger, they could report to him in the morning, and then with our volunteer group going through the parks and knowing what's going on through there, we could always give reports also to Mr. Dellinger to pass on. I mean, it's just weed whipping. That's the other thing too, is they wouldn't just be maintaining and watering the flower beds, they'd also be weed whipping too. And that's something that we really can't get into doing because our guys, they're so tied up in mowing the lawns at the parks, they usually don't have the time to get off and weed whip every little thing. So with 2 individuals working directly onto the landscaping, flower beds, and weed whipping, I think the city would look a lot better and really be improved from the previous. So we had passed that on to the superintendent to see about moving forward with that procedure, taking that step forward. If I can get some input from the council on their thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, I'll generally take whatever recommendation you two studied the issue, so whatever you generally think is the best thing to do. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that we're just gonna hire two people off the street, that I thought we could get some professional work done, but if you think you can do it for the same, you know, same cost with the same quality of work, then I'm fine with that.
I think it's best served too is the superintendent should be the one getting the bids from the companies as far as mulching and those types of things. I think that's within his job title, not for a committee to go out and receive bids for it and supervise that work. I think that's within his job description. He should be doing that.
Well, there is a chain of command, and you know, just as an aside, there have been some notes left over at the barn by the park on Russ's desk by somebody. The chain of command, I think, with the bidding process should go through the superintendent, and I think that if anyone's got any comments about what's going on, rather than putting those notes on Russ's desk when nobody's around there, I think that they should come to the superintendent of public works also. That's a chain of command issue that goes to the superintendent of public works, and then the superintendent of public works goes to the committee.
What kind of notes are you talking about?
Well, I haven't seen them, but Russ said somebody's going in there when nobody's around and leaving notes, and I just thought I'd mention that there is a chain of command in the city of Peru, and
Are they leaving names, or are they just anonymous letters, notes?
that's what I understand.
Alderman Mueller, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you got any 2 cents worth towards this, or, I mean...
I'm all for saving money. If we can do this the right way for the numbers that the volunteer landscapers are giving us, then I say more power to them. And if it comes in lower than a professional bid or proposal, then great.
And if we could advertise 2 summer helpers temporary through the summer that have gardening experience, I mean, and between them and the volunteer group, I believe we could have a beautiful city and landscape throughout the city. Take ownership in what we do.
I agree with the volunteer part. I think you're doing a wonderful job there, but the only part I don't know if it's fair right now is Elberg submitted a bid. This other group already knew what the bid was, and now they're going to come in $3,000 lower. I don't think that's really a fair bid. I mean...
And really, you have to have, if they're city employees, they have to report to the public works superintendent or that chain of command that's designed.
I agree.
They
I
can't.
have some questions
They
in
can't
regards to
report.
who's going to supervise.
Right.
You know, it's great to have 2 people strictly devoted to maintaining the flower beds and doing the weed whipping, but who do they answer to?
Yeah, I think it's obvious it's got to be a city. It can't be an alderman.
Right.
It can't be a volunteer committee.
We have,
No doubt.
Excuse me, Alderman. We've just started talking about possibly hiring another employee full-time for the Public Works Department. I think it's been mentioned twice, if that. But we worked hard to save money on staff and with early retirement, and I don't know that 2 part-time employees is the way to go. I mean, I see the value of it, but our staff is cut to the bone now, and to have 1 hire as a full-timer rather than 2 hires as part-time, I don't know. I think deserves more discussion.
I'd definitely like to have a little bit more discussion on the hiring end of it, especially with, we just got through this before, just a month ago, and it has to be you can't just, if you want summer help, they're done by August. So that's number one. If you get a college kid or anything, they're done by August. So if you want them to go through the fall months, we gotta look at something different. My opinion is, I think that part of it has to come under a little bit more discussion, so we all have our ducks in a row on that one.
Well, they don't necessarily have to be college students. They could be someone that's out of school, correct? I mean, if it's...
Well, I agree with that, but I personally need some more discussion
Sure.
on this hiring end of it.
Alderman, there's also the issue of the amount of hours that they can work and then become eligible for benefits. Is that not right? If they're part-time, they can
Well,
only
it'd be
work
just-
so
yeah.
many hours.
Yeah, it'd be just typical like the rest of our summer helpers. 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 3 months, 4 months out of the year.
Gary, how many part-time help do we have now, summertime?
Well, as of right now, it's the lowest it's ever been, and it's right around the 20 mark at the moment.
Do you have
The
an,
lowest.
Gary, do you have enough currently to trim the parks? If you don't, you should probably get some. And that's your responsibility, correct?
Right, definitely, and we are relooking at it because a few of them that we hired have found other jobs. So I'm going through with the guys to make sure we have enough personnel to do that.
And my whole thing is just saving the city money. I mean, if we could save the city $4,000 or $5,000 a year by taking a different router, I mean, it'd be much more than that. If we look at our expense through landscaping, even not including a horticulturist salary, going this route is going to save the city a substantial amount of money. So that's where I'm coming from, whether we take that route or not, or you go ahead and hire an outside service. I mean, you got to get moving on it because it's, you know, I mean, getting way out of planning season just about.
I could get with you and Becky, you and Alderman Mueller anytime.
Sure.
So we can discuss this part of it.
Okay.
And while you're looking, I think there's a lot of them that could be narrowed back too. I mean, there's a lot of them that are really like on pull out, a lot of flower gardens. Could be narrowed, like on Pulaski's triangle there. I mean, that's even one that's fun. I don't know anybody else, but I think a lot of them could be narrowed, made small, really.
Okay, we'll get together.
Okay, that'd be good.
I have nothing further. Alderman Mueller.
Nothing to add.
Right.
Oh,
We didn't receive any reports yet.
no, that's right. Reports. I have the Prue Recreation Fund cash accounts summary for April 2013. I'd like to make a motion. We accept that report and place it on file.
Second,
Sure.
Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Perez, second by Alderman Mueller to receive the Prue Recreation Fund cash account summary for April 2013 and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We also have the Prue Public Library cash account summary for April 2013. I'd like to make a motion. We accept that report and place it on file.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Perez, second by Alderman Mueller to receive the Prue Public Library cash account summary for April 2013 and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Anything further?
No, nothing further, Your Honor.
Report to City Attorney, ordinances, resolutions.
Alderman Waldorf had requested the first ordinance concerning the Ryder, the scavenger contract, be tabled to the next meeting because we have not yet ascertained a definitive start and ending date for that yard waste pickup. Next, ordinance amending a code of ordinances concerning stop signs, be it ordained, section 110-93 of Code of Ordinances, City of Pure, Illinois, shall be and is hereby amended to add the following. The stop street will be 12th Street for both eastbound and westbound traffic at its intersection with West Cox Avenue, for stop signs to be placed there.
Your Honor,
Alderman Ferrari.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the ordinance as written and read.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Putoff to receive the ordinance and accept it as written and read. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that we have like a 25 to 30 page report on this intersection, and it was recommended by the police department. So
Have a roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved.
We have an ordinance accepting in water and sewer main easements from W.H. Mays Company. Peter Dean, the mayor form behalf of the city is hereby authorized and directed to execute, and city clerk form behalf of the city is hereby authorized and directed to attest acceptance of the easement from Mays Company, which easement is attached here to and incorporated herein. This will be down at the lumberyard property.
Do you have a motion to accept the ordinance as written and read?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second by Alderman Waldorf to receive and approve the ordinance as written and read. This is the easement for the start of our Area 1. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote, clerk call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved.
I believe the city clerk has the next ordinance.
The next ordinance is an ordinance fixing wages for employees of the city of Peru. Alderman Putoff, do you want to review that?
The wage rate schedule is for an ordinance fiscal year 2014-2015, and these are for all of the employees that are not represented by bargaining units. We had discussed this at the last meeting, or the last closed session. Was there any additional questions or any additional review that the council members would like before we bring that up for a motion to enact it?
Yes, I didn't get a copy of that. Could we maybe table that until the next meeting so I can review that?
Certainly, make sure you get a copy and bring up any further questions. And the next meeting will be June, 2 weeks from Monday.
Should be recognized that the employees are going to be delayed in receiving their raise if we table this tonight. It was discussed in closed session.
Yeah, but I'd like to pause, if I could review that. I mean, I didn't get a copy of it. I'd like to at least look through it.
The ordinance in its entirety was in the packet prior.
I didn't.
2 weeks ago it was in your packet, so we thought we had ample time for everybody to get a couple
Can you
weeks.
pass
out.
that down here, please?
Sure.
And that's fine.
It's the same.
Just retroactive, that's...
There aren't any changes to the ordinance. The only things that are noteworthy are the 2% for each year, no longevity for new employees, and the active starting date for the increase of the health insurance contribution.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't even have this in that last packet.
I'm sorry about that. No troubles.
Thank you.
So we're going to table that till next meeting?
Yes, we will, Your Honor.
Okay, what about the ordinance for limitation on discharge?
Yes, we have ordinance amending a code of ordinances, section 114-188, concerning specific limitations on discharge. This was recommended by Larry Good of Chamberlain Associates, and I believe approved by the Illinois EPA. Correct, Mike? Peter Dane, City Council, City of Chapter 114, Article 4, Section 114-188 of Code of Ordinances, City approved, shall be and is hereby amended in its entirety to read as follows. Then it has maximum discharge concentrations of certain pollutants for users tributary to the East Wastewater Treatment Plant. And these address arsenic, cadmium, chromium, copper, cyanide, lead, mercury, molybdenum, nickel, selenium, silver, zinc. And then there is another set for maximum discharge concentrations for ECAS Corporation. And then there's another set of discharge concentrations for users tributary to the West Wastewater Treatment Plant other than ECAS Corporation. I believe this was in the works with the Illinois EPA and Chamlin for several months. And this just amends the existing code of ordinances concerning those maximum concentrations.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we accept the ordinance as written and read.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Radke to receive the ordinance and accept it as written and read. Is there any discussion?
I assume that you've been through this. This is all pretty much boilerplate.
Yeah, this has been going on for a couple years, and it was part of our NPDS permit renewal. Actually, we started it ahead of that, but then when they renewed our last NPDS permit, they requested that we do this. Because if you remember, everything used to go to the east plant, and now that we've separated things, you just have 2 industrial users going to the east plant, and all the rest go to the west. So they wanted to see limits put on, because it's whatever your plant can handle. So they wanted to see limits based on, you know, what each industry's going and where they're going in that. So, yeah.
So it sounds like it's mandated by the state.
Well, it was, yeah, in a roundabout way, but it was also, we needed to do it based off of what the plants are capable of removing as far as the loadings and the concentrations in that.
Does it in any way overburden the West treatment plant?
No, no. In fact, what we did was we used calculations, and that was what Larry and Chamlin was working on, based off of, you know, what our discharge limitations are, what our sludge concentrations as far as the amount of metals and different things contained in our sludge, and using that information and coming up with load limitations for the different industries that are out there and what this is for.
And we've met with the different industries, and they're comfortable with the limits that we're imposing on them?
It's actually, in some regards, the limits were actually going up. So, yeah. Yeah, they're comfortable with it. We didn't overburden anybody. And,
okay.
and
thank you.
Yeah, this has been in the works, and it's not only Illinois EPA, but U.S. EPA is involved. Yep.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Radke. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a roll call vote. Clerk, call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke. Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved. Any further ordinances, resolutions?
No, Your Honor.
Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business?
Your Honor,
Alderman Perez?
I had a chance to brief through this, and I don't see anything different or any changes in here that we had discussed. So if it's possible to go ahead and move forward with this ordinance, we could do that instead of tabling it. I briefed through it, and everything looks as, like I said, we discussed. So if we'd like to move forward with that,
No, we'll leave it tabled. We'll put it on the agenda for
All right.
our next meeting.
Your Honor, I have just an announcement about the Veterans Memorial Parade. The Peru Veterans Memorial Group, with the permission of the City of Peru, will hold a short Memorial Day service Monday, May 27th, 2013, at 11 a.m. at Washington Park. The units will form up at the northeast corner of Washington Park as usual at 10:30 and march into the park through the left field gates at 10:45. Everyone's invited to attend, and this was respectfully submitted by Robert N. Kawich, Commander. An interesting cartoon on this. It's got the price of hot dogs and then the price of gasoline, and a veteran with an American flag standing by a cemetery that says the price of freedom. So it's an important day, and hopefully we'll get a good turnout. I do have one other item. Chief Burnaby, you and I had a conversation about the amount of people texting and driving. And I'm wondering what anybody up here has to say about that, if you've noticed it or if you've been endangered by it, but everybody is texting and driving, and it's leading to some erratic driving. So do you have any thoughts on that, Chief?
Well, it's definitely a problem. I don't know if it's just limited. I don't necessarily think it's limited to our community. I think it's just about everywhere. And obviously the marked patrol cars don't see it as much because people tend to not do that in front of the black and white squads. But I know in my own car, for example, I see a lot more of it, but there's definitely an issue out there. There's no doubt about it, and that generally has to be addressed with enforcement efforts.
Should we become a hands-free community?
Well, that, I think, is something that probably should be referred to the Public Health Safety Committee to discuss and do some research. I think under home rule powers, there is authority to have a hands-free community such as Chicago does that, and a lot of the suburban communities do that. I do think, though, we should investigate. There is bill and legislation in Springfield that is seriously getting close to probably the possibility, at least, of a statewide hands-free situation. So it might be a moot point to even pass an ordinance or do that. So I think we could look to see what the status of that bill is in Springfield and then talk to the committee if that's something under home rule we would want to consider or not. I'm personally not opposed to it, but I think that we'd want to have maybe some committee discussion and a little more research on it would be my recommendation.
Would you be willing to?
Sure.
Very good. Until then, all you texters and drivers, watch out for the placards.
Any other unfinished business? New business, I'm asking for a motion for the reappointment of Gary Hyla as Budget Officer.
So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Radke, second by Alderman Putoff for the reappointment of Gary Hyla as Budget Officer. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Sorry, Gary.
Do we have a motion for the reappointment of Gary Bleck as Superintendent of Public Works?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Ferrari for the reappointment of Gary Bleck as Superintendent of Public Works. Is there any discussion?
Isn't he retiring in September, or are you still, is this a temporary appointment, or?
Should we just set a date limit on that?
I'm not going to apologize to you.
I'm going to. Sorry, Gary.
Okay, we'll have a roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Okay, motion approved. I've sent letters out to everybody that's on commissions and boards asking if they wanted to continue to serve on the commissions and boards. And some of them are slow in coming back, but we're receiving some back. So I just wanted to update, and I think there will be some leaving, so we'll see what comes back. But we sent a letter. I'm going to send out a second round of letters to those we haven't heard from before we make any decisions on the commissions and boards. There's quite a few long-time members, and I will see what they want to do. So that's where we're at on those for renewing those appointments. Is there anything else under new business?
Yes, Your Honor. Last year, began a 50-50 drawing for the fireworks to try to reduce the cost, and we grossed $1,915 last year. The winner of that took home $957.50, and the city took in $957.50 in profit donations. I would like to do that again this year, and attended the Park and Rec Commission meeting, and they're willing to help out with that and help raise funds to help reduce that cost also. So we'll be continuing that 50-50 this year.
What was it called last year?
Adopt-A-Boom.
Adopt-A-Boom. All right.
I have nothing further.
Anybody else with new business? Any proclamations, petitions, communications?
Yes, Your Honor. We have a communication from Ashley Gagliardo requesting permission to use Centennial Park on August 31st for a wedding reception.
Do we have a motion to receive the communication and place on file and grant permission?
So moved.
Second.
Just a note, it's a 3:30 to 9:30.
Dave, did you verify that what shelters they want?
We always ask that they verify that the shelters are available and make the necessary reservations prior to.
And do
submitting
they
their
know they have to go to a police station to verify that?
Yes, they do.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Radke, second by Alderman Putoff, and upon verification that it is, in fact,
They
open
actually
for
have
the-
written in the letter, we have also contacted the Peru Police Department and received permission to rent out the south part of the park.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by aye.
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 All opposed, motion carried.
Next, there's a communication from Billy Schmidt requesting to hold a walk to Afghanistan at Baker Lake on June 23rd. My name is Billy Schmitz. I'm a mom of an Army soldier. I have my son, Cole Williams, who is in Afghanistan right now. I'm asking you to use Baker Lake on June 23rd to do a walk to Afghanistan to support the troops. Plus, for every mile walked or ran while you go with a group, the walk to Afghanistan is set up to help get family and friends together and have fun, build relationships, and work together for a team. You can go to the Facebook page, Pacemakers Walk to Afghanistan, free for all to do. The only thing it will cost you is your time and your miles you walk. Sunday, June 23rd.
Sounds great. I'll make a motion to allow that activity.
Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Perez, to receive the communication from Billy Schmitz requesting to hold a walk to Afghanistan at Baker Lake on June 23rd. Is there any discussion? And grant permission. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Finally, we have a communication from Friends of the Peru Pool Committee requesting permission to close 13th Street from West Street to Putnam for the Fun Fair on June 15th. Also, we're looking for dunk tank volunteers for that event.
Make a motion to put Clerk Dave Bartley in the dunk tank and to grant permission for
Second.
the Putnam to close the street.
I was already on the schedule.
2 new appointees.
Have a motion from Alderman Radke, second by Alderman Perez, to receive the communication from Friends of the Peru Pool Committee requesting permission to close 13th Street from West Street to Putnam Street for the Fun Fair on June 15th, 2013. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. From what time to what time?
I'd say, I think it goes till 2 o'clock.
I think it only, 10 to 3.
What time, Sherry?
Friends, 10 to 3, yeah.
And how long will you have,
Actually,
dunk tank volunteers? The whole time? Oh, aren't you? Oh, all right.
the actual event that will close off 13th Street is going to last longer because the police department will be holding their water fight. Fire department. I'm sorry. Taser fights.
Yeah.
I'd say probably 8 to 4 we'll have it closed off.
Tony can be the target for the taser fights.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Gary, can we have barricades up there Friday? Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
We've got a storm warning coming in. We'll play it on the microphone.
Attention, City of Peru personnel. This is a informational weather alert. For a significant weather alert issued by the National Weather Service. At 8:20, the National Weather Service Doppler radar indicated strong thunderstorms along a line extending from 21 miles southwest of Amboy to Taranica to 17 miles southwest of Flanagan, moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. Expected is half-inch diameter hail and winds at 50 miles an hour. Cities and towns affected include Peru. ETA of the storm in Peru is about 8:30 hours. Time of page is 2027. Sorry, Sergeant DeGroot.
So it's going to hit any moment.
Okay, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Any public comment?
I have a motion by Alderman Waller, second by Alderman Perez for adjournment. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Alderman Waller, Alderman Perez.